that came out was the jobs report. Like I said, was tremendous. It was much bigger than anybody expected. And let's see. Let's jump in. Pretty sure this is it. Let's jump into Fox News responding to the jobs report because they have a different take on it than reality.
I'm shocked.
This is something. 272,000.
Nancy Lazar was right. She was right.
She was right.
272,000. Everybody, the estimate was 185,000. And by the way, that blows even the top of the range from economists going in. The range was 120 to 258, and we came in at 272. The unemployment rate hit 4%. The estimate was 3.9%. So wow, this is something else. All right, government jobs. Well, here you go, 43,000. The government jobs number was 43K. Last month it was.
So I love Fox News. Notice how, look, it's all good. Everybody's sort of nodding, right? But she's getting into, okay, look, jobs numbers way up. Unemployment's at 4. They were hoping for 3.9, but 4, still pretty good. 4 is really low, right? It's the lowest it's been in a long time. Government jobs are up. I mean, all these good things are happening. So let's go to the Dow futures and the NASDAQ futures, which are slightly down a little bit so we can show some red and some negative on the screen. While we do this, I love Fox. They have to. There was no reason to go to this image.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, other than to cause shit.
8,000. We don't get an estimate for that number, just to let everybody know here. Okay, let me go through some of the other pieces of this. Labor force participation, that rate 62.5. That's a little weaker than last month. And then again, that rate 4%. Factory jobs 8,000. Private sector 229.
All right, so we'll get into that in a second. But all in all, phenomenal report. And Biden is now, I mean, not even before this, I don't think there's, I think he's actually got the record for jobs created under a president. Which is a big jump from Trump, because when Trump left office, he was negative jobs created. He's only the second president in history to do that. Him and Herbert Hoover. Right? So there's that going on. But I mean, this is all great news. So let's see, now that they've sort of kind of talked about how good the news is, let's see what their take on that is. Because we're going to skip ahead just a little bit here.
Is saying, and that's exactly what Joni was saying as we went into this, Maria.
Okay.
So
Yep.
the revisions are
Yep.
key. I'm going to dig into this right now.
We'll get back to you on the revisions, Cheryl. I know you're watching that. Markets are down across the board on a much stronger than expected jobs number. As I mentioned before we...
Okay, so already we got to get into the bullshit. So markets are down on the strong number. I just want to go to this. This is this right here is the S&P 500. All right, so this is for the last year. It's been way up. Okay, this is the last 5 days. So when they did this report, right, was back on the 10th, right? So market was down early in the morning, but then finished way up. So she's talking about a minor blip and trying to make it seem like there's some signal there. It's just crazy. They're looking for any negative thing they can find.
Of course they are.
Why wouldn't they? So let's just go into some more because they're just full of shit. And I love this. You got 7 people in here. I mean, report the news. I'm not trying to pick a character in Street Fighter. What the hell is going on?
Really? Are you sure?
I mean,
Went into this, Piper Sandler is telling clients that their indicators are, and this is their AI is saying 218,000. We come in at 272,000 jobs, and immediately markets sell off. Vance Ginn, jump in here. We haven't heard from you. I want to get your take on this report.
Well, it's definitely better than expected, as you've already mentioned. And some of the key things that I've been looking at have been part-time jobs, which were essentially flat for what I can see so far in the report. When you look at government jobs, which has been growing too quickly, and unproductive government jobs, taking from the private sector, those up.
Okay, that's some horseshit right there. That's the thing that I'm going to tell you. So government jobs, yeah, about a fourth of all jobs are government jobs.
Sure.
And most companies that you work for get a lot of money from government contracts. That all trickles out. That's the whole point. The government issues money and spends money, and then we pay taxes. That's what gives money its value. If the taxes weren't there, or they weren't giving us or putting money out or buying shit and building infrastructure and doing all these projects and paying for the military, if they weren't doing any of that, money would have no value. The whole system would collapse. So what he's saying is horseshit. Yeah, government jobs are up. They're not unproductive. They're government jobs. And a lot of this money that's come out from the infrastructure bill, what has it gone to? Paying for construction. So that's construction workers, construction companies, the people that make the materials. I mean, it all goes out. It all spends. So I don't know what he's talking about. But yeah, government jobs and government spending help the economy. They always have. I mean, unless you're just anti-Keynes or something, I don't know what his deal is, but
42,000. I mean, you're really looking at about 230,000 private sector jobs. And you look at average weekly earnings, which also have not been able to keep up with inflation for over the last few years. We're continuing to see somewhat flat there. One thing that I did want to point.
That's not true. He's doing average weekly earnings, which is a different number than actual wage growth. Wage growth is up for the last 12 months. So he's picking a slightly different metric to sort of squeeze it out.
Out was that the revisions were 15,000 lower over the last 2 months. So we continue to see revisions lower. So take this one with a little bit of a grain of salt. At the same time with what the Fed's doing, the Fed's balance sheet's still too.
Okay, so that's fucking hilarious to me too. So the revision was, okay, initially they had an outside projection a couple months earlier that it was going to be like 200,000 jobs, right? And then they revised it to like 180 something, right? As things changed, which happens when you forecast. Things change and you make projections. The upside is when you're making projections, you're making it on information you have now in the present, right? What you don't have is the information that happens in the future because you can't predict the future. And so, yeah, they revised it down. But then even the downward revision, it was still 70-something thousand jobs above the high-end estimate, the initial estimate. So it beat even the previous estimate. So but you got to take it with a grain of salt, Lacey. So it beat every estimate by a shit ton, but that doesn't mean it's good news.
God, Fox News. I mean, seriously. I gotta tell you, that entire time they were showing the red down arrows on the stock market while not talking about that.
Right.
Really driving me crazy. I was like, what is wrong with you guys? That's not even what you're talking about.
Right.
It's sort of like just like deciding to show an arbitrary grizzly bear just to set the mood, you know?
Right. That's what it is. And if you watch Fox, they're masterful at this. What was that one woman? Nancy Grace used to be like the best at this, where she would say one thing and show you a different image to try and skew the viewer's sort of perspective of it. So we're talking about how great things are, but we're showing you an image that shows things are down. But if you read the image, that's only the futures, and they're slightly down. And it's like, yeah, that shit happens all the time. Why? Because people are trying to adjust their bets for the futures. I mean, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but generally it goes up. So it's just one of those things where it's just a weird thing. But I want to get to a little bit more of his take, because it's really stupid.
Too large. And so we've still got a lot of things that are propped up across the economy. And so this is a better than expected report, but also look at labor force participation rate. It went down to 62.5%. So it's another thing to look at.
Okay, I want to get that. So that's horseshit. So two things here. The first one that's horseshit is he's talking about wages versus inflation, and there's a problem there. So let's go into this. So, wages versus inflation. Here you go, everybody. The Economics Policy Institute. Average wages have surpassed inflation for 12 straight months. This is back in May. So now we're at 13 straight months. Right? Because we're in June now of 2024. Average hourly wage growth has exceeded inflation for 12 straight months, blah, blah, blah. Average real wages rise for 12 straight months as prices decelerate faster than nominal wage growth. So I give you this little chart. All right, so the nominal wage growth is the light blue, right? And that's been pretty good. And then the medium blue has been inflation. Inflation peaked up here, and then it went back down. And then real wage growth had bottomed out, right, after the pandemic, and now it's come back up again. Okay? So real wage growth is actually, they're looking at a bigger basket of stuff with real wage growth, but it gives you a better sense of how things are going. It's the bottom dropped out of the labor market and millions of lower wage workers lost their jobs. Average real wages then fell sharply in the pandemic recovery as many of those lower wage workers returned to work, pulling down the average. Real wage growth continued to decline as inflation rose steadily due to supply chain bottlenecks and shifts in consumer demand. As quickly as inflation rose, peaking at 9.1% in June 22, it fell, hitting 3% in June of 2023. Nominal wage growth is the year-over-year growth in wages, not adjusted for inflation. So it's all been good. It's all been coming back up, and inflation's been going down. Right? Wage growth's been going up, inflation's been going down. That's what you want to see. So he's already full of shit on that one. The second thing that he was kind of stupid on here was talking about labor force participation rate. And I'm just going to go to Fred here. This is the St. Louis Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. So this is labor force participation rate. This is the number of people who are actually either have jobs or are looking for jobs. Okay, that's what this metric is. It's a little different than unemployment. So as you can see, and from this goes, I just went back 10 years. So from 2014 up to the pandemic, it was pretty flat under Obama. And then under the pandemic, of course, it bottomed out because we were all hiding in our homes, right? And,
right. We were told to stay home.
Yeah, and then
at least most people, you know.
Right, and then you get to like 2020, near the election, it shot back up again as things calmed down a little bit, even though it was still kind of dangerous. But it was a very short time it bottomed out, and then it came back up a little bit, and then the Biden became president here in 2021, and then it started to climb steadily, and it's kind of been sort of flat here. It's not exactly where it was, but it's pretty close now. So this whole thing that labor force participation rate is down, that's not down. It's gone up consistently. Right. So he's just full of shit. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because it's all stupid stuff. I mean, they're idiots. And part of it is because it's an election year. They want Trump to win. So we can't have a good economy under Biden because that's bad. And you kind of want to sit there and go, look, when Trump was president, if you'd have told me the economy was doing this well, I'd have been fucking thrilled.
Sure.
I mean, whose side are you on? I mean, when he became president, my hope was, well, hopefully he'll do a really good job. It didn't happen, but I hoped for
well,
it.
let's be honest. Are people really out there saying, gee, I really hope this president fucks everything up and makes my life miserable?
Well, that they are.
I mean,
Their viewers are, I'm sure.
Well, they are, but I feel like whenever the election happens, I'm nervous if it doesn't go my way, but I'm kind of hoping whoever he or she is
It's so
exceeds my expectation and does some stuff that's way better than I thought they were going to do, you know?
Right. That's just the difference in how we think. Because we're thinking...
Apparently.
Yeah, we're thinking we want to be successful and make money and be good, and we don't want, rioting in the streets and shit like that. We don't want people starving. That's how we think about it. When they think about it,
right.
is we want to win at any cost. So if our guy's not in there, it's bad. That's why they run around saying the economy's terrible and blah, 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 when it's really good. They're telling you up is down, left is right. I mean, it's all horseshit.